texted the Instagram, and I said only usually like 20 to 30, but you can stay the whole time if you want.
Completely up to you. Whatever you got time for.
Yeah, we usually run for
Yeah,
about.
we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we usually run for about hour and 50.
The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at BI.
Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the Big Yak Podcast. It is I, Mike Redden, alongside me as always, Nico Salameni, and we have a great guest on today. We have Mike Palazzolo from the Tip Balls Podcast coming over from Detroit, Michigan. How are you, Mike?
Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to circling the wagons here for a few.
Circling
Yes, sir.
the wagons.
Already speaking the lingo.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start the what made you guys start the Tip Balls podcast? You guys are Lions fans over there as well. Give us a little bit of a background for our viewers.
Yeah. So unfortunately one of my co-hosts, Sam, who's the founder and the driving force behind Tip Balls, just looking to change it up in the world. We're sitting and talking sports all the time, and everyone's always looking at us saying, why don't you have a podcast? He had been doing it for a year before I hopped on, but it's just a little side venture for him that's kind of taken off in a really good way. And we got a lot of people locally listening to us. And like you guys, we're sitting here trying to grow and trying to have more fun. It should be a really great season for both of our teams, the Bills and the Lions. And yeah, it just spawned with an idea. It starts with, can we do this, as you guys know, and then you start doing it, and becomes an addiction. So this is only I'm on basically for season 2 of Tip Balls. They had a great first year, but we're trying to take it to the next level, and we're just prepping for a big Lions season over here. That's what we're trying to capitalize on most.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before the show. I mean, you guys are basically us, but in Detroit. Yeah.
Started around the same time. I mean, you guys are covering NFL on a broad spectrum, but, you still have your Detroit fandom. And then it's the same thing for us in Buffalo. We have our Bills fandom, but we're covering the NFL from that lens. And, yeah, it's really cool to see just how both of us kind of growing at the same time.
Yeah, let's go over all the boxes that are checked off. Blue collar, redneck towns, franchises that have Lake Erie, franchises that have been down for years, proximity to Canada. We're all Italian. Literally all 4 of our people on our podcast are all paisans, every one of us. And we just check off a lot of boxes, and it's good to be with like-minded people. And I mean, we can't wait to have you guys on at some point too.
Oh yeah,
Sam
definitely.
is actually he would be here right now, and Uncle Sam would as well. But Sam is actually in New York. He's downstate. He's in the city right now with his girlfriend, and he's gonna try and go to the game Monday night too. So it might work out in his favor to where he can come on and talk a little Bills with you guys. We're actually kind of sour on the Bills this year.
Okay,
that's
as
fair.
a consensus. Love them, love Josh Allen, and want, like, there's no team in the AFC we would want to see more in the Super Bowl, but it's also it's do or die for the Bills. It feels like this year for the McDermott and Dean crew.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys know better than we do.
Yeah, it's and that's the common theme around here as well. We try to keep a positive, mindset about them. But yeah, it's just a little tough to keep a good, head up after, some of these heartbreaking playoff losses. But we try to chug forward and, keep our, Bills Mafia, inner spirits, brewing. And, we're excited. We think that, it's going to be another season of success, hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully. But, I mean, you never know. We had so many, things happen last year, like the DeMar Hamlin situation, just a couple of those things that really kind of made the players down. The whole shroud kind of was over Buffalo last season, so hopefully we don't get any of that this year.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
As a Buffalo for the longest time was such an underdog just throughout like the drought, especially in the Tom Brady years with New England. And so when they finally like started to get good, they became like the darlings of the NFL. And now we're kind of seeing that script switch to where the Bills are the one to beat instead of becoming, the ones that are chasing, they're now being the ones chased. And
just don't call the Jets the darlings, please. Please don't call the Jets the darlings.
I mean, hey, Hard Knocks is but no, actually I saw you guys had Miami winning the division. That's not, believe it or not, that's not really a very hot take out of Buffalo at all. Miami is a team that is much more dangerous, a potential threat to the Bills compared to the Jets, I think, and what the general consensus in Buffalo is as well.
It comes down to Tua. It'll just be if Tua plays 17 games, the Dolphins should be pretty good. That's what we're going on, and I'm assuming this is going to be the season where he plays a full season.
Yeah, and for me personally, I was on another podcast a couple of days ago, and they asked me for my AFC East rankings, and I still have Buffalo number 1, but not as good as a record as last year. I have them going, I think 11-6 or 12-5. It's just going to be a dogfight between those 3 teams, and then New England might have some weeks where
New England's going to steal a game from one of them, and we don't know which one.
They're good for 2 division wins. They're going to steal a game maybe from both of them, and maybe from Miami. They're going to be good for some wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I said on that podcast, Jets 3rd place. So I had Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. That was my AFC East rankings. And I liked what the Jets done in the offseason. They added some key players, had a good draft. But another thing I mentioned was Nathaniel Hackett is their offensive coordinator. Do not, ignore that because, Nathaniel Hackett used to be in Buffalo and he burned us before and then he went to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers had some good seasons, but that was Aaron Rodgers doing. That wasn't Nathaniel Hackett's doing. So, Aaron Rodgers is 39 now.
Right. The question becomes, can Aaron Rodgers continue to be Aaron Rodgers in the Big Apple?
Yeah.
What is it? Week 4 where the Broncos and the Jets play each other? I don't know what it is, but I'm excited to see week 5. I hope the Broncos pound their teeth in.
You and me both.
Like I'm so looking
mouth.
forward to Sean Payton backing up everything he said because that guy doesn't talk very often. So for him to say that, and I remember he had the quote, "Oh, I had my Fox hat on when I was talking. I sounded a little bit like a media guy." He was dead serious.
Oh yeah,
he was dead.
He knew
serious.
what he said.
So I'm excited to see that unfold. The Jets, the whole
drama
thing.
is going to be great.
I thought they were great on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I thought we can't stand a similar situation. You had to deal with Tom Brady for X amount of years. We had to deal with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre before that, and we can't stand Aaron Rodgers here. The play before that Hail Mary that they always show, no one really knows it outside of Detroit, but they got away with a face mask that wasn't it was a phantom face mask. He turned his head and pretended his ear hole got pulled. Play shouldn't have happened. So we can't stand Aaron Rodgers here. We thought we sent him packing into the sunset last year. Didn't happen. Very much looking forward to his demise, but I appreciate him. He's great. He was great on Hard Knocks. He's a great personality. I think he's great for football. I don't need to see him in the spotlight anymore. So I'm excited for that Jets narrative to just disappear.
Yeah, same thing with Tom Brady. It was just, we couldn't stand him, but, you can't knock his success. You can't knock how great he was, And it's just one of those things where it's like he's if he's not the GOAT, he's one of the greatest. But, the consensus is he's the GOAT.
I didn't know that little thing about the face mask and the Lions. Yeah. That reminds me, again, another similarity between the two fan bases as a whole. Music City Miracle. That was a backwards. It was not a backwards pass. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah. Oh, we have a long list of them here, just in the last 15 years alone, of jobbings and things that went south. And we got a few of those Music City Miracles here. So I'll send you the YouTube clip to get the full last 5 minutes.
Definitely.
But it was Devin Taylor. It was a guy named Devin Taylor who he grazed Aaron Rodgers' face mask and he sold it. The Packers had a free play with 0 seconds left on the clock.
Unreal.
10 yards closer, 15 yards closer, and he converted it. And we don't get to live that down.
Yeah.
So let's talk the nitty gritty. We have a really big game tomorrow with the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Football's back, and the regular season is back. And the simple question is, how do you feel? How do you feel about going into this game, going up against the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes? Let's give us your opinion, give us your feelings, all that stuff.
Yeah, so for years here, similar to you guys, again, it's going to be a common theme for the next however long I'm sitting here. Is there's a lot of similarities between the franchises. For years, we have complained that our team is never on prime time. No one appreciates us. People don't want to see the Lions win. We're not good money for the NFL. Then they went into Green Bay last year, and they were big money for the NFL in a game that didn't matter. That game didn't matter for the Lions, and it did matter for the Packers. And you know what? The Lions proved that they belong. So the NFL's been listening, and they threw them in the opening game against the defending champs. And what better way to showcase what you have going on than that opening game? I think the Bills were in that game last year, right? And was it in LA or something like that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that felt really good. The Bills had already been on the map at that point. But this is I'm 31. I was born in April of 1992. The Lions have not played in a playoff game at home. It was at the Silverdome since January of 1991. They literally haven't won the division in my lifetime. We haven't hosted a playoff game at Ford Field other than the Super Bowl in 2006, which of course the Lions weren't in. And it just really more than any year. There's a phrase around here. It's same old Lions. I don't know if you've heard that before.
We have the same old Bills.
Same old Bills. People are just waiting for them to break your hearts. And more than ever, there's people that are bought in. There's still a crew of people that they're like, I got to see it to believe it. And we just know that some people are going to buy in if they win tomorrow. A lot of people are going to buy in and take interest, but there's already sky-high interest. Season tickets are sold out for the first time since the Lions have been at Ford Field. The hype is crazy. It's national hype too. It seems like it's just getting more and more every week. How many national pundits like the Lions? So there's a lot of hype here, and Lions fans, when there's hype, are used to being let down. We're just looking to see if this is the year where we're not let down, where things actually come together. So it's crazy, palpable excitement. You could feel it in your fingertips. It's not just the season starts tomorrow. This is our year, which starts tomorrow. And if we take down the defending champs at Arrowhead on their banner night, the hype coming into Ford Field, Dan Campbell has never coached a game at Ford Field with a winning record. The hype coming into Ford Field for a really big game, week 2 versus the Seahawks, is going to be, it'll be something that you'll hear it for a week. You'll hear it everywhere because the fans are just going to be insane here. We're not quite go through tables and braving negative temperatures, but we make noise in our indoor building, and we can weaponize our building, and that's the plan for this year, is to deliver to the fans something that we've been waiting for decades here.
Awesome. I do have one question. I didn't have this listed originally, but I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on Jared Goff and if you think that he can be the guy that can bring you all the way to a championship title. I mean, you saw him go all the way to the Super Bowl with the Rams before. Do you kind of have faith in him, or are you kind of on the fence, or, hey, maybe if things go south, let's give Hendon Hooker a shot?
So my answer is twofold. You're asking the wrong person, because I have been sold on Goff since the day they since the day they traded for him. He was supposed to be a salary cap throw-in to make the Stafford deal where you're getting 2 first-round picks work. He was supposed to be the throw-in. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, we're trading a guy. Yeah, Stafford was the best quarterback in the history of this franchise. He has all the records. He has a couple 5,000-yard seasons. He had 3 playoff seasons. We hadn't seen that. But we're trading him for a guy that's won playoff games. And at the time, Jared Goff was a month removed from playing in a playoff game. They won. They won in Seattle. He had a broken thumb, and they won. And all of the criticism from Goff came from the LA narrative, where he couldn't run my offense and he can't make the big throws. Well, the last time he played Patrick Mahomes, they played in the most epic regular season game of all time, where they both went over 50 points on Monday night. Jared Goff can make a lot of throws. And the way Ben Johnson's offense is set up, he doesn't have to make crazy downfield throws, which he can do. He did it in Green Bay in the last game. He did it the entire second half of the season last year and the second half of the season the year before. This offense is set up for him to just dink and dunk his way into short yardage situations. And I think he is the perfect guy to get that done. And you guys know better than anybody, Tom Brady, yeah, he's the GOAT, but a lot of what he did over the last decade was dinking and dunking. Like, he didn't throw many balls over 40 yards, and Goff is accurate when he needs to be. So I'm big on Goff. They're working on an extension for him. I think he's totally the guy to run this offense because it's not intricate. It's let your playmakers make plays in space, and he's the perfect guy to get the playmakers the ball. So I like him in the current offense. I'm not sour on him. It won't be Hendon Hooker at the beginning. It'll probably be Teddy Bridgewater to start, but that's worst case. That's worst case scenarios for the Lions. And one little tidbit, I know I've been rambling, one little tidbit on Goff. He's never played in Detroit with his entire intended starting offensive line. He's getting that tomorrow. It's usually been 3 out of 5, sometimes 4 out of 5. He's getting all 5 of his intended offensive linemen tomorrow. He's getting crazy weapons that he's never had before. Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, he's had Amon-Ra St. Brown for a couple years. Later in the season, he's going to get Jamison Williams. They can run 2 tight end sets.
Sam Laporta.
He's just never had as much. Sam Laporta and Brock Wright are going to be on the field at the same time in a lot of instances. And he's never had the pieces that he's had, including in LA. He had the mind in Sean McVay, but he's never had the pieces that he's had this year. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. And I think it's going to lead to some pretty good things.
Yeah. How excited are you guys for this running back duo of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery? Because, around the league, they are, they're highly regarded as probably one of the best RB duos of this season, coming up, especially in fantasy football. Just touch a little bit about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in this offense for the rest of the year, going forward, all that stuff.
Yeah, so what they're shooting for is when Dan Campbell was in New Orleans, he had Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. And it seems like they're going for that, and that worked really well in New Orleans. So they have their Kamara piece in Jahmyr Gibbs. They think he's better. You will see Jahmyr Gibbs on the field almost every snap, and a lot of those snaps are also going to feature David Montgomery. That's how versatile Jahmyr Gibbs is. He's going to have more reps lining up as a receiver in the slot than he is out of the backfield. Think more like a Deebo Samuel or a McCaffrey. That's what they're going for with Gibbs, and that's exciting. Meanwhile, the other head of the monster, Montgomery, the Lions let the NFL touchdown leader go in free agency, and what's his face?
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams is in New Orleans now, and he was pretty good last year, but the Lions felt like they left a lot to desire. They left a lot on the table in between the tackles. And yeah, in between 2 or 3 yards out and goal line, you're going to get all those touchdowns. They feel they have a guy now that's going to do more gashing and get more yards and put them in a ton of short yardage situations and in second and third down. And that's where David Montgomery comes in. He's just a downfield between the tackles thrasher that they haven't had here in a little bit. And the two of them together, they're going to be on the field together a lot just because of what they have intended for Jahmyr Gibbs. So we're excited, and we don't need David Montgomery to be the touchdown leader, but he needs to be the guy that can pick up the yards that Jamal Williams was not able to pick up. And that's why they brought him in here. So we're pumped, needless to say. A lot of the offense is going to go through both of those guys.
All right, that's exciting to hear. I mean, you add them with a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams when he comes back from suspension. You guys have some good pieces.
I'd argue Sam Laporta could have possibly been a first-round pick if this tight end class wasn't so deep.
Right. Now,
you guys got a good one there too. You got a dog. I love watching Cam Rising throw to Dalton Kincaid last year. Like, I watched a lot of. I'm a Michigan fan,
Gotcha.
so I was keeping up with. I went to Michigan, so I was like, is it going to be Utah? Is it going to be USC? Is it going to be, or like, who's it going to be? And I watched a lot of Utah just doing some damage against SC's defense, and it was mostly Dalton Kincaid. Like that's who it was. Like
Yeah.
everything went through him, and I don't think Josh Allen's ever had a red zone guy like that before.
No.
Like I don't think he's
They've
had
tried.
a guy that can make plays. They've tried.
But yeah, Stephon Diggs is your true alpha wide receiver. But every time they tried to bring in a big body, it just never worked out. Like I'm getting shades of like Kelvin Benjamin, or bringing in even like just taller receivers, and it just never worked out. I mean, Dawson Knox has done well, but he's had drops. He's had drop issues his entire career. So getting a guy that's as sticky handed as Dalton Kincaid and you can line him up anywhere. It's really exciting for the Bills offense.
You'll just see jump balls in the back of the end zone all day, and it'll keep Josh Allen healthy and happy, and it's good. But on Laporta, it feels like what we're getting in Laporta is what we should have gotten Hawkinson, and the Lions have been criticized about how they underutilized him. I don't know how he got the biggest tight end contract in NFL history, because he barely – I mean, he went off for 800 or 900 yards there, but the Lions didn't underutilize him. He had a lot of drops, and he just couldn't make it happen with the yards after contact, and that's what we're getting in Laporta. We're getting a Hawkinson that could block. So we're excited about it. He had a monster mini camp, a monster rookie camp, a monster training camp, and it looks like he's just a surefire. He's going to be on the field from moment one. And tight ends get better with time. You know this. They don't start off the rip pretty good. But I think we're going to get something pretty good in Laporta, and we're excited to see what he does here.
Alrighty. When I was going on your Instagram, earlier today you posted the NFC North predictions for this season, and you guys had the Detroit Lions going 12-5 and winning the division. Over here, I think that's the consensus over here. Would you say that's correct, Nico? Would you say that your favorite to win the North?
I would say so. Right now, especially, I'm taking Detroit all the way. I've been really high on Detroit this whole offseason, and we'll get to it later, but I'm really high on them in this game even. So I think this is a potential, huge season for you guys. With just Minnesota really being in the way, I don't think Green Bay is going to do enough to win the division, and the Bears, I think, are still a year or two away from really trying to contend. But with Minnesota, I mean, how many games did they win last year in essentially a coin flip? That could go either way, and they could be another 11-6 team or 12-5 team, or they can be like you have them 7-10. And I think just given the law of averages, it's going to start to flip the other way. So yeah, I like these predictions for you guys.
I'll start at the bottom, give a brief blurb on every team. I think the Packers are actually going to finish in second.
Yeah.
Just giving them history. They went from, we didn't know Aaron Rodgers was going to be Aaron Rodgers. And I know we've seen a little bit from Jordan Love, but all the reports have been great. And just giving them the history benefit, I'm operating under the assumption that Jordan Love is going to be very serviceable. And you couple that with a pretty good defense, I think the Packers are going to finish in second. The Vikings probably in third. To answer your question, they came in here and it was the first time in all the instances in NFL history when a team is a double-digit dog on the road against a team with a losing record, the team with the losing record always wins. The Lions curb stomped the Vikings at the end of the year last year. They should have beat them on the road, too. They played them at the beginning of the year. It ended up being the difference in the playoffs. Dan Campbell kind of choked the game away with some bad clock management. And then there's no one in the country that's lower on Justin Fields than me. Sam is not. I just don't see it with the Bears. I love watching Justin Fields. I went to Michigan, so I watched him tear Michigan apart for years, and I appreciated it. And he's fun to watch in the pros. I just don't think you can win football games like that. And every time they're going to play from behind, which is going to be often, it's going to be a disaster. I don't care about DJ Moore. I don't care about Chase Claypool. I just don't see them playing well from behind because he can't really get the ball downfield in a pro offense. I'm in the extreme minority. I know the entire country and the fantasy world is high on Justin Fields. I just don't see it. And The Vikings, they regressed, in my opinion, this offseason. Whereas the counter is the Packers not only didn't regress, they had a great offseason, and no one's talking about them. And they're just a well-run franchise. So I think they could be right there with the Lions. Sam had them at 12-5. I do things in ranges. I think the Lions can come in as low as 11-6, which probably wins them the North. 12-5 is what the consensus is around here. If they win this game tomorrow, that shows they're a good team, and I could totally see them winning 13 games, somewhere in that range. But I think 11 wins them the North, just like the Bills counter is. I think 11, maybe 12, probably takes down the AFC East this year. It just depends, who stays healthy. That's how your division's going to go, is who stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and last year, we had we had Tre'Davious White coming back from injury, he wasn't himself. Von Miller got hurt. Von Miller we won't see till about week 5, hopefully. And then over in Miami, we talked about it a little bit earlier. That team is built around Tua, and if he suffers any more concussions, I mean, it's not going to look real good for them, because when they didn't have Tua out there and they're running that offense, with Skylar, the likes of Skylar Thompson, it was just it looked rough. So I think that's a pretty fair prediction for Detroit. I mean, they're just that offense is just going to be screaming. It's going to be all over the place. And then we're going to talk about the defense a little bit too. I mean, you guys got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as well. I mean, that's also a big move.
Yeah, that's a very underrated signing that kind of went under the radar, but that's a huge signing as well.
He led the league in interceptions last year. So this is what sets this Lions team apart and why people are bought in. People are expecting them to win the North. Dan Campbell is the only one that hasn't really said it, but Brad Holmes has said it. The ownership has said it. We're expecting it this year. And this fan base has come to not expect that, but people are saying it. This is what we think is going to happen. And one of the reasons is they retooled the defense completely, and the Lions have depth that at all positions that I have never seen in my lifetime. So CJ Gardner-Johnson was the first major injury of training camp this year. Second day in, he had an issue with his knee, and people were panicking, but also they drafted his replacement in Brian Branch, who's going to be outstanding for them this year. We're expecting huge things from Brian
Branch.
Branch.
Play him anywhere.
And the secondary has been a very sore subject for the Lions for a decade, and now they have one of the deepest secondaries in football. Emmanuel Mosley, who was one of their big free agent signings, isn't going to play tomorrow. He should be good to go next week. He's coming off an ACL issue. He tore his ACL, I think, in the first third of the season last year. So he's not quite ready, but the depth that they have at corner it's never been better, and their safeties are just outstanding. They have one of the best safety rooms in the league. They have depth at linebacker to the point where they were talking about cutting Malcolm Rodriguez,
Jack
who was
Campbell
a
too.
big. Yeah, they drafted Jack Campbell, who's only gotten better as training camp's gone on. And Alexander Zalone, people are pretty sour on him around here, but he had one of the better tackle percentage seasons in the NFL last year. And he's a great leader. He's a captain for them. D-line is kind of questionable. Their interior was never really addressed, but they're expecting big things from Aleem McNeil this year. Yep. They're not a good run-stopping team. I think that's going to be a major hole for them all year. And it mainly starts in the interior, but they're healthy on the edge. Aiden Hutchinson, we're expecting more big things out of him. They drafted a guy in the second round last year from Kentucky, Josh Paschal, who's healthy. Both of the Okwaras are healthy. Charles Harris has been good for them. So the defense is completely retooled. I'm not crazy big on it. I need to see the cohesiveness in the secondary, because the secondary takes time to come together. You guys know when Tre'Davious White came in, it took a second for him and Jordan Poyer to click. Yep. And then they did, and big things happen. So I'm waiting on that, and I'd like to see how athletic the linebackers are tomorrow. It'll be interesting if Travis Kelce plays, because I want to see how the linebackers cover him. But the defense is completely retooled. It should be more serviceable. It cost them a lot of games last year. They played Seattle and scored 40-some points and lost last year because they didn't force Seattle to punt once. Meanwhile, Seattle got that last wild card spot and finished with the same record as the Lions. So I think they have that on their minds, is we need to be able to mitigate a lot of these teams with running quarterbacks and getting gashed in the run game. And if they're able to cut down half of how bad that was last year, they're not only going to be in some games, but they're going to be able to maintain leads in games. And as you know, in this league, that's big.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me that this team was. They were dubbed a couple years back. What was it, like the historical worst defense of all time? And now it's flipped 2 years later, and now they have a potential top 10 unit when it's all said and done. So a huge overhaul on defense. I'm really looking forward to that. And then, like I said, that offense just keeps getting better and better as well.
Yeah, it's not all good though. The kicking game is somehow nasty. It's not good, but hopefully there's not many situations where they have to kick. But yeah, I mean that's again, you guys are hitting on everything. Why we think is things are coming together nicely for the Lions this year. We think everything's turning up Honolulu blue, and there's just things that we haven't had in the past that the Lions have now. So that's why things feel a lot different around here.
Let's break right into the predictions. Chiefs Lions, right here, right now. What do you got?
In case you can't tell, I err on the side of history. And history does not favor. I know history favors the road team in that banner raising Thursday night game. The Bills were able to get it done last year, and just historically, the road team fares well. I think the Lions are going to be ready. It's really hard to pick against Patrick Mahomes, though. Even if there's no Kelsey and no Chris Jones, which is looking that way, in home openers, Patrick Mahomes has 136 passer rating. He always passes for at least 3 touchdowns and 250 yards. He's never thrown an interception. I think he's going to live up to it, and he's going to end up being the difference in the game. I'm going to go Chiefs 24-20. That being said, will not be shocked at all if the Lions win outright. A lot of people here expecting it with Kelsey and Jones out. Everyone on our podcast, Bruce, Sam, and Uncle Sam, all picked the Lions. I think the Lions are going to split their first 2 games, and this is the one that they lose. But don't be shocked. In fact, I think both of you might even end up picking the Lions if just based on what you're saying, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm just erring a little bit with caution and a little bit on the side of history. And I think the Chiefs, it's going to be a whoever has the ball last kind of game.
Yep.
And I think Mahomes at home at Arrowhead is going to have the ball last. You've seen it before. You guys were robbed out of a playoff game because Mahomes had the ball in his hands last. And I think that's how it's going to go tomorrow. The Lions are going to play their hearts out. There's going to be some hiccups with a lot of the young guys. They're going to be in the game until the end, maybe even have a lead, but Mahomes is going to have a shot with the ball in his hands and make it happen. 24-20 Chiefs.
That's right there with my prediction. You know, I took the Lions against the spread. You know, they were 12-5 against the spread last year, 6-1 against the spread when they were 4-point underdogs, 4 or more point underdogs, I should say. And their teams only got better. So I know I'm gonna take the Chiefs winning slightly, but the Lions are gonna cover easy. I think this is going to be, like you said, a game of let's keep the ball away from the other team. Whoever has the ball in their hands last wins. You know, take a look at the Chiefs' defensive line. I mean, they're probably I'd probably confirm that they're going to be without Chris Jones for tomorrow. Then Travis Kelce is questionable to play, and if he does play, is he going to be 100%? I don't know. They have a really young receiving core and a lot of new receivers in their starting lineup. So I'm taking the under here, and I'm taking the Lions to cover the spread, but the Chiefs to win.
You want to know what I think?
Let's hear
Let's hear it, Mike.
Give me Detroit winning.
Okay.
Give me Detroit.
Here we go.
And you know what? This isn't, the Buffalo versus Chiefs vendetta. It's not that. I honestly think, Patrick Mahomes makes magic happen with whatever resources he's gotten. But, I mean, Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, 2 of the best players in the NFL that are not going to be there. I got Detroit. I think Detroit, their offense is going to overwhelm that defense, just me personally. And then, again, it's going to be a shootout, but I think Detroit's going to have it in the end. Give me 31-27 Detroit.
It's not a hot take either. I don't think it's a hot take. A lot of people are high on the Lions, especially without Travis Kelce.
Yep.
I don't think he plays. I think the precedent is there that if you hyperextend your knee, you're not going to come back within 48 hours. Yeah. They would be dumb to bring him back. They would be dumb to waste their entire season on one game. And a lot of people, even me, you know, I'm again, I'm only going with history, but without Travis Kelce, it just makes me even less shocked if the Lions turn up on the right side of the scorecard tomorrow. So Mike, I appreciate it. We appreciate you here in Detroit. Nico,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's just going to be a little. I don't think it's going to
It's
be
gonna be
the
a tight
dog
one.
fight. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit tighter, but we're excited either way. We're happy to be here, and we're hoping everyone comes out healthy. And if it's a Lions victory, like Mike's predicting over there,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Give me
we'll
the
take it.
Lions. Give me Lions.
take it.
I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
So how is the pizza over there in Detroit? I mean, I've always wanted to know. I've never been to Detroit. And you know, over here in Buffalo, we have we have an underrated pizza over here in Buffalo.
Every time, I'll give you a little preface before he goes on with his question. Every time we have a guest on the show, we always ask them what their favorite spot to get wings is. But I guess if we're talking to a guy from Detroit, it only makes sense to talk about Detroit pizza.
Right.
I've only been to Buffalo one time. I went to a Wings Sabres game about 10 years ago. It was literally Terry Pagula's first game as the Sabres owner.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I sat behind his daughter, who's now in the U.S. Open. I sat behind his kids that day, which was kind of crazy.
That's fun.
But
Small
you'll
world.
need to hook me up with wing spots. As for pizza, you are asking the wrong person. What pizza chains do you guys gravitate towards? I'm just curious. What chains out there do you get if you're getting chain pizza?
You know, you don't really get chain pizza here. There's so
Okay.
many like mom and pop
Fair.
pizza shops. But you know, I mean,
Fair.
Pizza Hut just came back. It was gone out of Buffalo for like probably like 5-6 years. And so for whatever reason, it garnered a lot of hype when it came back. But everyone kind of just remembered Pizza Hut's not that great.
Yeah, it's cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So,
we
yeah.
have Detroit style pizza here, which is it's akin to Chicago deep dish, but the sauce doesn't go on top of everything. It's still topping, cheese, sauce, bread, but it's a square. And are you guys familiar with Detroit style pizza by any chance?
I mean, we have some some places around here that try to makeshift it.
Yeah.
But it's
Not
not
the same.
Yeah, it's not.
So I think it sucks. I think it's
Oh.
disgusting. I think it's cardboard. I think Detroit style pizza is the most overrated thing. I am in the minority though. My thing is the big Neapolitan size of your head slice like Sbarro, and we have a lot of good
Sbarro.
mom and pop. Yeah, akin to that. Which I still love Sbarro. I'm not knocking it, but we have a lot of good downtown Detroit. There's a spot called Sapino's that's excellent. That's got a big size of your head slice of pizza, and that's my favorite. The pizza here, to answer your question, I know I talk a lot and I go on tangents.
No,
The
you're
pizza
fine.
here is outstanding. We have good pizza, and if you're into chain pizza, at last check, I think 4 of the top 6 chains in the country are all based here. Little Caesars is owned by the Illiches. Domino's is owned by a guy by the name of Tom Monahan. That's here. Hungry Howie's is a big chain. Jets Pizza. So
Jets,
4 massive chains. Jets is Detroit style pizza.
Yep.
If you guys ever have it, that's like the signature Detroit style pizza. We have a lot of chains here, and the pizza scene is strong in Detroit. I just don't like Detroit style pizza. I can't stand Chicago pizza. I think the best pizza is that New Haven, like the New York style, the Neapolitan. I like the big thin crust. It's about the topping. That's important to me.
Making me hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might get pizza tonight.
I mean, yeah. If you're ever in Buffalo, yeah, hit us up. We'll give you some nice wing spots because we know all the wing spots, and we always have a ranking. A lot of the Buffalo people around here, some of the more prominent people, we ask what their favorite wing spots are, and it's always like Nico said it. It's always a debate. But yeah, no, we have a couple good spots here. If you're ever back here.
I would go as far to say that Niagara Falls pizza is a bit better than Buffalo pizza too. So if you're in Buffalo, come visit the waterfall, come see Niagara Falls, and we'll show you some good pizza.
Are you talking the American side of Niagara Falls?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I've never actually been on that side. I've never gotten past Fallsview Casino, so
Really?
I'll have to. Yeah, I mean, I crossed the bridge once to go to Buffalo, but I've never dabbled, and I'm ashamed to say I don't know the difference between good wings and bad wings. So I would love to see I would love to experience Buffalo style wings and just well, of course I've had Buffalo wings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
Like
right.
from the city.
True
From the
Buffalo
city
wings.
with
Yep.
spots that matter. You know, I'd send me a list, please, by all
Yeah.
means.
Right after the
And,
show, we'll
and
send you one.
Sam and I will make it there at some point. I'm hoping the Lions end up. They were just there a year or two ago, but I'm hoping they end out there by the time that that new stadium is done.
Yep.
That's right.
So I can catch a game there. And if not, you guys are always welcome. We would love to. Ford Field's actually a very underrated building. I've been to a lot of them, and it's beautiful. It's right downtown. And no, our downtown isn't some murder hub. It's actually incredible. And if you guys ever come to town, we'll do a pizza, wings, home and home. All right.
Alrighty,
Sounds
sounds
good.
good.
But yeah, Mike, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. And hopefully my prediction is correct about tomorrow night's Detroit
Hey, I'm rooting for
win.
Detroit.
Please.
My
please.
brain
I'm
says
pulling
Chiefs.
for you guys too.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for you guys Monday. I cannot stand the Jets. And despite the fact that we all picked the Dolphins, there's a kinship between Lions fans and Jaguars fans and Bills fans.
Yep.
And just these dumpster fire franchises that are trying to turn it around. And I will always be Bills first in the AFC. Unless they're playing the Lions or unless it affects the Lions, I will always be Bills first. So I'm pulling for you guys Monday. I hope you spoil Aaron Rodgers' 9/11 for him.
Well, yeah, Mike, thank you for coming on. Yeah, if you guys ever need some guests on the Tip Balls podcast, for sure, let us know. We'll love to come on. If you're ever in Buffalo, for sure, or if we're in Detroit, we'd love to collaborate with the food choices. So, yeah, just keep us in the loop.
Yeah, 100%. We'll have you guys on soon. We'll talk some Bills soon, all right?
Sounds
All right,
great.
sounds good. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, take care, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Good to meet you.
All right,
Nice
take
to
care.
meet you.
Good to meet you.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Alrighty. And that was the Tip Balls podcast. I'm Mike Zolo from the Tip Balls podcast. Yeah, he was really good. That was
awesome.
that sounded, everything sounded good. It's always nice to talk to people who are outside of Buffalo. I mean,
Yeah.
and
It's been the first time in a while that we've had another Zoom call on, and an even longer time since we had them on as a true guest.
Yeah, I remember we had the Chargers podcast on, and the guy was from Nebraska. And,
Yeah.
that was
Fun. That was a real good podcast. And this one was an awesome interview. Yeah, shout out to Mike. Shout out to all those guys over at Tipped Balls. But we're getting the signal to take off the headsets. We're all good to go. Our ears can breathe again.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get on to the rest of our show. We had Mike on for a good amount of time, so we're gonna fire off the rest of what we have today. So talking a little bit about NFL headlines. As I said before, regular season's here.
We're in it. We're in the thick of the Big Yak podcast. I think the Big Yak podcast is at its best when we're in season. We're getting off all of our routine. And speaking of routine, we're going to be coming back next week with another guest in-house. Our good friend Marquise Alexander, Kesey LaFleur. You're in trouble.
You're in trouble, man.
He's gonna be on, and we're really looking forward to having him in here. But that being said, we're gonna be bringing back the 2-minute drill starting next week, we're gonna have a leaderboard.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a leaderboard. It's gonna be a little DIY project. Me and Nico are gonna do before next week's show. And last year we tried to held standings, but they weren't it was off the top of our brains. We didn't really get to have it like an actual rankings, an actual standings board. So yeah, next week we're gonna have that over here, and we're gonna put Kesey through the ringer.
That's right.
Yeah, I know.
That's right, Kesey. Hope you're ready.
He's
you're
a
you're in
Dolphins
trouble.
fan. Yeah, he's in trouble for that. He's a Dolphins fan though, also, so it might get a little chippy around here. So I don't know how much of a Dolphins fan he is. I don't know if he's like Dame.
I think he's kind of more of a casual football fan. Not casual in the terms of you're a casual, but more of he just is a fan of the game. Because I was texting him a little bit before, and I was like, "Are you a diehard Lions fan?" He's like, "No, not really." He's just a casual fan of the game.
Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, Kesey is next week, and the guests are going to keep on rolling after that. So a little bit of NFL headlines right before the show. News broke that Nick Bosa became the highest paid defensive player in NFL history.
I'm surprised they got this deal done. I was shocked to get that notification ahead of the season.
And you know what, man? I'm going to say this right now. The salary cap is not real.
It's a myth.
I don't want to hear it because there is no way that San Francisco is harboring all these people, all these great players.
I mean,
all
who
these
are all the
expensive-
guys they have to pay now? They have Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk.
McCaffrey, the bulk of his contract hasn't hit yet. That's next year.
Right. And then even a couple years down the road, if Brock Purdy's their guy, they're going to have Brock Purdy that they're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Debo Samuel is coming up. George Kittle. I mean,
Yeah, it's
how do you pay all these guys?
just that salary cap isn't real unless San Francisco has some kind of hidden stash of cash. Like, I don't know.
Some back pocket deals where guys are making $1 million base salary, then getting like another $15 million
on
and
the rug.
endorsements and.
Yeah. So Nick Bosa extended. Cooper Kupp and Travis Kelce. So Cooper Kupp is officially out for this weekend's games. A little bit of a blow because I am in 2 leagues, especially the $100 Jules Stiggs fantasy league, the redraft league. So I cannot play him. So he's going to be out, and he's also a candidate for short-term IR. So he might be missing the first 4 games of the season.
I don't want that. No one wants that.
Nobody wants it.
Except for me week 1 because I face you in multiple
face
leagues.
me.
That's really tough. And can I just say it? I might just say it, and I might get some hate for this, but at what point does Cooper Kupp become the next Michael Thomas?
Let's get into that point.
At what point is Cooper Kupp the next Michael Thomas where he had a fantastic receiving year and hasn't been able to live up to that one single year?
Listen, man, if Cooper Kupp has another bum year, with the injuries, then it's gonna be looking like that. And I'm staying away from him at all costs in fantasy drafts next year. Next we have Travis Kelce hyperextending his knee. We don't really see Travis Kelce get injured.
Yeah, we mentioned that with the interview with Mike. I think they'd be smart to sit him this game. You don't want to mess around with a knee issue. The ACL is still currently intact, and let's not risk that. Let's sit him for a couple weeks, see what the Young Bucks have in Sky Moore, Justin Ross. They just drafted Rashee Rice. Even Noah Gray has kind of flashed in some spots when he's been asked to step in. And then that young running back core of Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a little bit of sprinkle of Jerick McKinnon. They still have options. Let's not pretend like the Chiefs' offense isn't all that without Travis Kelce. But I think they'd be smart to sit him for at least a game, if not 2 weeks or more.
Yeah. I say about 2 weeks. Mike talked about it in the interview. When you hyperextend your leg, 40 hours. Later you're
That's an
expected to play.
insane turnaround.
Yeah, insane turnaround. I just don't see it happening. Chiefs should just hold them out for the rest of the week and maybe even next week as well. Next on our news docket, we have Bills naming 3 new starters. Kind of important. Starting right guard Cyrus Torrance, the rookie, over last couple year starter Ryan Bates. We have Christian Benford getting the start at cornerback number 2.
Over Kyer Elam, which is huge.
Over Kyer Elam and over Dane Jackson. And then the last one is we have Terrell Bernard over Tyrell Dodson at the middle linebacker role.
I hope with this wave of rookie starters in Osiris Torrance and there was another someone else, but the narrative of Sean McDermott and the Bills don't play their rookies. Let's kill that narrative because you have Osiris Torrance starting week 1 right with everyone else on the squad. So
Brandon Beane is in Sean McDermott's ear and was like, hey man, we draft these players for a reason. They're ready.
Let's kill this narrative.
Let's kill the narrative. And lastly for news, did you watch the Colorado TCU game?
Man, that post game or no, not post game, that pregame speech by Deion Sanders was absolutely chilling.
Legendary.
That was awesome. Someone give him his I can't talk.
His
today.
flowers.
Someone give him his theme music and his flowers, please. Shador Sanders is the real deal. Travis Hunter looks unbelievable.
He looks like a bona fide first-round pick.
I agree.
He went from Florida State, 5-star recruit, was number 1 in his recruiting class, was committed to Florida State. He withdrew his offer from Florida State to join Deion Sanders and Jackson State, and then has followed him to Colorado with a bunch of the Jackson State football team.
I mean, we're talking about a generational talent. We're talking a guy who was wide receiver 1 and cornerback 1 for his team. This is the closest thing that the NFL could get to Ohtani right here, right now. This is the exact definition of how you'd have to be in football terms to be Ohtani.
Yeah. And
Travis Hunter, you're looking at him.
And Deion Sanders was that.
Clip that.
Clip that. He's modeling his game after Deion Sanders because Deion Sanders did the same thing. He wasn't wide receiver 1.
Yep.
He had Michael Irvin. You had a couple guys in that Dallas, Super Bowl team.
Right.
But he was cornerback 1, Hall of Fame career, and then he was out there for offense. Not as much as Travis Hunter, is going to be for this, Colorado team and maybe in NFL. We don't know if he'd mix that transition to being on the both sides of the ball. But,
you never know. I mean, he is unbelievable. And, he played 115 snaps?
It was up there, yeah.
The average NFL game in snaps is 153. He played over 2/3 of a whole game, offense and defense. That kind of stamina and that kind of endurance to have as an athlete, especially at the level of collegiate football, is unreal. And like I said, generational, unlike anything we've ever seen. If we started the Dog of the Week segment, the first Dog of the Week is going to Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. I agree. I completely agree. You know what? Actually, I'm going to give it to another Colorado player, and I'm going to say the Dog of the Week is Shedeur Sanders.
He was a dog. I'll give you
and
that.
I'll say this. He proved the haters wrong. He is coming from Jackson State,
Coach's kid, that stigma.
All these narratives.
He earned his starting quarterback spot.
He earned it. He broke the school record in passing yards against a TCU team who was...
Your TCU.
My TCU Horned Frogs. Listen, man, it was so hard watching that game because I wanted to root for Colorado so bad. But, TCU is my favorite, college football team. So, in the end, sucks TCU lost, but I'm really happy for Deion Sanders and his sons and the rest of that Colorado football team. But Shedeur Sanders balled out. And that TCU is a Power 5 school, and they, they're ranked 7. Were ranked 17 this year. But, again, they made it to the national championship last year. They're no slouch. So, for Shedeur Sanders to go out there and did what he did was just amazing. So him and Travis Hunter were just dogs. Jeez. Certified dogs.
What is coming out of where are these new kids coming from? Just absolute freaks of nature in terms of athleticism.
Labs.
Anthony Richardson and now Travis Hunter, like you said, these kids are being built in a lab nowadays.
Yeah, it's just, and a lot of it is, football is crazier in the South. It's better in the South. It is, some of these most of these 5-star recruits are born in the South.
Yeah.
They are, and that's the thing is all these Power 5 schools and all of these, great Division I programs are in the South. So, again, it's just wonderful to see. And, the game each year, the game of football, these athletes get better. We see more and more better athletes. You compare them to we always see this in baseball with a Shohei Ohtani is is Shohei Ohtani better than Babe Ruth? You bet your ass he's better than Babe Ruth.
Right.
Babe Ruth, you put Babe Ruth, you put him in a time machine. You put him in 2023. He is not. I don't even know if he's making a roster.
I see. I don't know if I would go that far.
I don't know, man. That man ate cheeseburgers. It looks like he ate cheeseburgers and drank beers before the game.
He probably did. He probably did.
Smoked a couple's darts.
Rolled a half pack of Reds before he came up to bat.
Maybe that was a little dragging it, but I mean he is not putting up remotely close to the numbers that he put up in his time.
No.
So. Yeah. Let's move on to our underdog pick 5. And do we want to get paid?
Let's get paid.
I think we want to get paid.
I think it's time to get paid. Last time, this is the last time I can advertise it and get your picks in before the season starts. Yep. It's we're going to talk one more time about Best Ball Mania. So we are proud to be partnered with Underdog Fantasy, and we want to talk to you about the biggest fantasy football tournament of all time, Best Ball Mania 4. Don't know what Best Ball is? It is simple. You just enter Best Ball Mania on Underdog's slick mobile app, draft your team, and that is it. Yep, it's set and forget as Underdog optimizes your lineup weekly to create the highest scoring one. It's here, it's Best Ball Mania 4, and it's your shot at a first-place prize of $3 million. Get signed up on UnderdogFantasy.com or via the App Store with promo code BIGYAC. That's BIGYAC. And we'll get your first deposit doubled up to $100.
Big Yak.
That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code BIGYAC.
BIGYAC.
Must be 18 years old and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, and if you're concerned with your play, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY for help today.
Y'all need help.
You got your pick 5 ready?
I got my pick 5 ready. Let me just pull
Take it
up.
away.
It's being a little slow here. All right. So, to anybody who doesn't know, if you go on Underdog right now, there is a free Patrick Mahomes square for 0.5 total yards. So, please sign up with Big Yak. Use our code. Sign up on Underdog. Do your Underdog pick 5. You don't have to do a pick 5. You could do a pick 'em of any sort.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. But I'm doing a pick 5. Patrick Mahomes. That's an obvious gimme. Like, you have to do that. 0.5 total yards. But I have Jahmyr Gibbs higher than 38.5 rushing yards. I think anybody, we're going to talk about it in a little bit with the fantasy football, segment. Please play a Detroit running back tomorrow night. Please. So Jahmyr Gibbs, I have higher than 38.5 rushing yards. I have David Montgomery higher.
Higher.
I'm sorry, higher. Higher than 12.5 rushing attempts. Sky Moore, higher than 45.5.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Receiving yards. And I have Sam Laporta, higher than 3 receptions.
Sam Laporta, all right. Here's what I got for tomorrow. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Start it off with Patrick Mahomes, higher than a half total yard. Give me my free square. Obviously. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs higher than 3.5 receptions. I think we're going to see him in the slot a little bit, too, with Amon-Ra St. Brown out wide. Give me Jared Goff higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think one goes to Jahmyr Gibbs and one goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give me Isaiah Pacheco higher than 9.5 receiving yards. I just feel like that's just going to happen. Something in my gut tells me. I can't give any stats right here right now to back it up, but my gut tells me that Isaiah Pacheco is going to have higher than 9.5 receiving yards. And lastly, like you said, give me higher than 44.5 receiving yards for Sky Moore, and I expect a lot more than that, especially if Travis Kelce does not play.
Yeah. Underdog pick 5. I mean, the Sam Laporta one, I maybe...
And that's probably your riskiest play there.
Yeah, that's riskiest play, so I might
be
regretting that one, but maybe I'll put another one in and put something.
Yeah, hedge it a little bit.
Hedge it a little bit, So yeah, that's it right now. Let's move on to Take It to the Bank.
Alrighty.
Take It to the Bank, Week 1 edition. I know that you have a parlay cooking.
Yeah, I do.
Also in my belt.
We're going to be introducing a new series, and we don't have a name for it yet. But tentatively, it's going to be called Parlay of the Week. Real original, right?
Real original.
So each me and Mike are going to give our play of the week. It's going to be a parlay all based on one game that we choose for that week. We'll craft it, and then, hey, tell us if you want. Tell us if you don't want it. By all means, it's your choice. But for me, my first one's going to be, kind of simple, nothing too crazy. I'm not going to be shooting from half court or anything right here. I actually, as soon as I saw the news of Travis Kelce extending the knee, I ran to my sports book and I took Lions +6. That line has shifted since then.
Yep.
The Chiefs are now at 4.5-point favorites. I took the Lions at +6, so I think that's going to happen real easy. And I took the under 53.5 and under 26.5 first half total points. So that's my parlay of the week. Give me Lions +6, under 53.5 total, under 26.5 first half. Even with the current odds we're sitting at 4.5 on DraftKings and 5.5 on FanDuel. I would still take the Lions against the spread there and complete that that parlay. I think the over-under has also shifted to 52 total now, or 52 and a half,
52
something
and a
around
half.
that. But that 26 and a half in the first half has still stayed the same. So I, even given the shifting odds, I'm still taking that parlay right to the bank.
All right, give me. I still, I took the Detroit spread, even though it shifted a little bit. I still have them, covering 5.5. David Montgomery, anytime touchdown. I think he's going to be a good goal line presence. That's what they said in the news. That's what he's going to be. So give me David Montgomery anytime touchdown. Give me Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns.
All right.
Even with Travis Kelce not being there. Patrick Mahomes, in the season opener, since he's became in the league, he has thrown at least 3 touchdowns in the season opener. Not season opener, but, their season opener.
That's a fun stat.
That's a fun stat. I learned that today. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, give me over 31.5. Mike from Tip Ball said it perfectly. He's going to be on the field at all times, and I think he's going to be a little bit more of the receiving back, if you're going to, consider that in the Detroit offense. Compared to David Montgomery. David Montgomery is not really known for his pass-catching abilities. So, give me Jahmyr Gibbs over 31.5. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, rips off, a good, screen, for 32 points to – not 32 points, but 32 yards to make me a happy man. I just have those 4 picks. You put a $10 on there, you get a $173, return. That parlay is equal to plus 1738.
17.
Fetty Wap.
Ayo.
Sorry, that was a little loud.
Take that
but,
parlay.
I love Fetty Wap with all my heart.
Take that to the bank.
Did I hurt your ears, Joey? I'm sorry, Joey. I didn't mean to hurt your ears.
No, Joey was saying, "Wow," at that plus 1738 spread. That's an insane return on something that seems pretty possible.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, take it to the bank. Hopefully you guys tail us. If not, if you guys
all luck to you.
Yeah, if you don't and we win. We told you so. We told you so. And a little bit, with our Ticket to the Bank segment, let's predict a couple of these games we got here. So we did Detroit, Kansas City already. That's, we got that out of the way already. Is there any game that you're looking at and you're, licking your chops over in terms of, line, spreads, over-unders, or predict a game?
You know what? I'm looking at this. As crazy as it is, I'm looking at this Baltimore and Houston game.
Mm-hmm.
Houston is a 10-point underdog right now. And you know what I say to that?
Hammer it.
Give me the Ravens minus 20. This is going to be a blowout. I don't think that this team is ready to compete. This is going to be a very first starting game for C.J. Stroud. He looked kind of shaky across his preseason. I think that he's just not quite ready with the talent around him. This game's going to be ugly. Lamar Jackson's going to return to form, plus new weapons in Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers. I love the Ravens covering the spread here.
Yeah, a game that I want to point out, Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's first start going up against the playoff team, Jacksonville Jaguars from last year. They made it decently far. The over-under for this game is set at 45.5. I'm taking the under.
I think that's very
for
fair.
Sure. I got Jacksonville winning. They are 4.5 favorites. And it's going to be the same narrative. The C.J. Stroud, I just think that they're going to struggle a little bit. Indianapolis, just a lot surrounding them with Jonathan Taylor. I just think they need to figure some kinks out, until this Jonathan Taylor situation blows over and they can figure out an identity. I just don't think they have really an identity right now. So yeah, I would go, definitely Jacksonville money line, but I'm taking a look at that under as well. And yeah.
Yeah, I got another one. Would it be crazy to take Cleveland Browns money line against the Cincinnati Bengals?
I don't think it would be crazy, but I am.
Listen,
I don't know if I'm going to take it.
I am pretty high on the Bengals. I'm high on the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection, but he's a little shaky right now with his hamstring injury.
Right.
That being said, Joe Burrow is only 1-4 in his career against the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say we don't look back at history and just take the Browns outright here?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
If you feel a little dangerous, I think that's a good play for you.
Feel a little dangerous, then I agree, but I can't do it. Joe Burrow coming back. I mean, and simply Zach Taylor said he's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. That's it. That's all I need to hear. Give me Joe Burrow.
I think the main event for us, Bills Jets.
Bills Jets. Oh my God, I don't know if I want to do this one. This is just a game where I really don't know. I don't know what to expect.
It's a true pick'em for me.
The preseason was just up and down for me, and for I think Bills fans across the whole, Erie County, Niagara County world, wherever you are, Bills fans. Bills are favorites on the road, 2.5-point favorites, on 9/11, Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers' first game. Official game
against
in New York.
The alleged 2023-2024 AFC East champion New York Jets.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've said it on the virtuosos. They got better, but I think they're a little bit on the overhyped side. I've seen people saying they're a top 10 team right now, saying they're going to win the division. I'm not going there yet. That being said, over-under set at 46.5. I think that's a little high. I think the defenses are going to step up. I think you're going to see Sean McDermott's new defense, and I think it's going to give, Aaron Rodgers a little bit of trouble, but I think Rodgers will still find a way to, get the offense going. And then with the Jets defense, you got Sauce Gardner. You got to, C.J. Mosley. Hopefully, when a healthy C.J. Mosley is a top 10 linebacker in this league.
Here's the thing. The Bills and Jets are always a gritty game. It's always like a low-scoring slugfest between the two teams. I am hammering the under here, and out of this game, that's the only thing I'm truly touching. I don't even want to play with this spread because this could go either way for both teams. I think both these teams are fantastic. The Bills, have the history of holding the division behind them. The Jets, of course, have been the media darlings as well as just, a completely revamped offense and are getting even better on defense. This is going to be a tough game to bet. I'm only looking at player props here and under 46.5.
Yeah, I'm looking at guys like Garrett Wilson, anytime touchdown. Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown as well.
Give me a Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. I'm sure he'll run the ball into the end zone once.
Do a flip, spin on his head. All that good stuff.
Helicopter.
Flying. Give me a James Cook anytime touchdown thrown in there as well. He's plus 190 for anytime touchdown, and I think that I think he's going to be used finally. I'm hoping, praying, because I was praying for it last year that he was going to be the main running back. So yeah, if you want to put together a little parlay there, I mean, you could do something. What is your prediction? Who's going to win this game?
I'm going to give it to the Bills, but just barely. I think this game, similar to the Chiefs and Lions, is going to come down to whoever has the ball in their hands last.
Tyler Bass game-winning field goal?
That could truly be it, honestly. It could be a tie game with Josh Allen getting the ball back on the 25-yard line, minute 12 to go, marches down the field, puts it right in the field goal range, and Tyler Bass steals it.
Yeah. I also agree going to be a close game, going to be a good dogfight. I understand people taking the Jets. I do.
Yeah, it's not a hot take at all, and I don't blame you.
They're, plus 2.5, plus 116. The odds are there. But, again, I just, you know what I mean? I don't think the Bills are as bad as everybody's trying to make it out to be, And I think, it all depends on who plays, too. I know Micah Hyde's a little banged up, but he should be out there. It all depends on what these newcomers are going to produce. The Cyrus Torrances, the Terrell Bernards. Those are two positions, and then cornerback. And that was a priority in the news headlines because those are pivotal positions. Because offensive line had their struggles last year. That cornerback number 2. Kyrie Elam, and Dane Jackson were attacked. Christian Benford got hurt. And then linebacker, you lose Tremaine Edmonds, who's one of the best young linebackers in the NFL. And you're relying on a day 3 pick in Terrell Bernard, and so day two is it
round
day 2?
3? Yeah, it was a round 3 pick.
Oh, I thought he was a 4th rounder. So I mean, late day 2 pick. And so hopefully they step up. If they step up, it's a Buffalo win. It's just depending on what this defense looks like too for Buffalo, because we really don't know. This is a Sean McDermott defense. Leslie Frazier is not there anymore. You know, Sean McDermott needs to figure out a good balance between aggressiveness and, you know, conservative. And if he can, you know, get a good mixture going on defense, give me the Bills. And I'm going to go to the Bills. Go Bills.
All right.
Go
Bills.
Bills. Go Bills. Again, we're not a Bills podcast. You know, we're an NFL podcast, but, you know, we're giving you guys our non-biased, trying to be not as biased as possible. So, you know, there you go. Any other games that stick out? I mean, a game that I'm looking at real quick just before we move on is the 49ers-Steelers game. Because, you know, you had all the drama with Trey Lance. You know, he's traded out to the Dallas Cowboys. Will Brock Purdy replicate what he did last year? And, you know,
with half of his arm.
And then with the Steelers, you know, Steelers and the Jets are two of the two media darlings. You know, there's another media darling with the Steelers. I see a lot of people saying they're a playoff team. I don't know if they're there yet. They definitely got better. They looked good in the preseason, but then again, it is the preseason. That's why I'm not knocking the Bills, you know, too hard.
Side with history.
Who would you say wins that game between the Steelers and the 49ers?
This is a game where I'm not touching the spread. I'm going to take the 49ers, like I said, just given of history.
Given the history, so 49ers are 2.5-point road favorites. Over/under is set at 41.5. I think this is going to be a great defensive game. I don't think, you know, you got two quarterbacks who don't air the ball. You know, two quarterbacks who are going to, you know, be game managers. We're not going to see a lot of too much offense. So, you know, give me the under. Give me San Francisco. And then, you know, hammer all the CMC props that you can do. And then with Pittsburgh, you know, I might throw in a George Pickens anytime touchdown.
Yeah.
I like their connection. You know, I like their connection so far this offseason.
Pickett to Pickens. They got that really cool picture of them. I don't know if you saw it.
They're like, yeah, so that's going to be real interesting. Moving on, let's go real quick to our fantasy football segment. We have and a couple points I want to make right before we go to our start, sits, and sleepers. Cooper Kupp, as we said, out first game. Who are some valid replacements for Cooper Kupp?
Are we talking on the Rams offense?
We're talking about on the Rams, or, you know, a guy who you can see plugging in that's like a bench guy, you know? Because, like, for me, you know, against you, I don't want to really, you know, say what I'm doing against you, but if you look at my matchup, I have Jamal Williams plugged in right there. So hopefully he balls out. But, I mean,
for all intents and purposes, I'll just keep it to a same team replacement for points.
Yeah.
You're not going to replicate Cooper Kupp, plain and simple. I think you can kind of get close, or who is going to be that go-to guy. Honestly, the play for me is Tyler Higbee. I think Matt Stafford connects really well with Tyler Higbee. And, I mean, we're talking he was, the number 5 tight end last year in terms of fantasy points. So, that being said, I think kind of Tyler Higbee puts up those points. But if you're really, truly looking for a wide receiver, give me Puka Nacua.
All right.
You know, the obvious choice seems to be Van Jefferson, but I like Puka Nacua this game. I think he's good for a deep catch and a touchdown, and that is as much as you can ask for filling in with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I mean, they're going up against the Seattle Seahawks, and that secondary just keeps getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think Tariq Woolen is going to lock up Van Jefferson.
That's exactly.
I really believe that.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, so Tyler Higbee, I think, is going to be a top 5 tight end play coming in.
I think for sure.
He was tight end, 6 last year?
Yeah, either 5 or 6. I can't remember.
Yeah, and that was with the hurt Matt Stafford, the Baker Mayfield, era, the little small era they had. Give me Tyler Higbee as a top 5 tight end play right now. I think his projection for fantasy boosted up to 14.
Oh, wow.
I think I saw that right before the show came on.
That's with the tight end premium, right?
I think that's with the tight end premium, but I think without tight end premium, he's
like
probably still looking at 12.
Yeah.
So, give me Tyler Higbee. I'm on that train as well. And then Travis Kelce, are you starting Noah Gray?
No. If anything else, this is more of a play to start Sky Moore. I'm in a 10-man league, and I had Sky Moore on my bench. And with the Travis Kelce news, I went ahead and took Sky Moore. and put him in a starting flex play. So I like Sky Moore this game. I think he's good for a touchdown. He has earned that starting role on offense, and every down role for that team, he's going to be wide receiver 1 going into it. I'm pretty big on Sky Moore this year, and I think this would be a great spot to take him in the flex. I think he'll net you 12 to 15 points, which is more than enough you can ask for in a flex spot.
Don't show Skyler this podcast because he is the biggest Skyler Moore fan I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he is. Yeah, he's hammering everything Skyler Moore related, whether it's this game or season totals.
Yep.
So that being said, I mean, again, this Tyler Higbee thing can become a replacement for Travis Kelce as well.
Yeah. He's available in a lot of leagues. I can pull it up in Sleeper right now.
He's available in like 60% of, or no, he's rostered in 60%. So I mean, another 40%, I believe he is not rostered.
Okay, his roster percentage has jumped up to 73 since earlier.
Yeah, people are boosting
so people
that.
are high up there. But hey, if he's still available in one out of every 4 of these leagues, I would nab him up
for sure. That being said, start sit sleepers for week 1.
I got 1, 1, and 1. I don't know how many you have, but
fires off first.
All
I
right.
have 4 for each.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I had 1 start, 1 sit, 1 sleeper.
I went a little overboard.
All right. I'm ready to hear it. But I'll rip mine off real quick. For my start this week, give me Sky Moore. I had already talked about it beforehand, but I think he's an easy play this week, regardless of Travis Kelce's situation. For my sit, I have Terry McLaurin. I am very high on Terry McLaurin season long, but he has that nagging turf toe injury that he suffered about 2 weeks ago. And all signs point to him playing week 1, but I don't think he's going to be at full 100%. Those injuries kind of nag you a little bit, and they bring you down. So I think that ultimately they would have been smart to just rest him for a week, but especially against Arizona. But that being said, I don't think they're going to. I think they're still going to play him. Maybe just keep him on a snap count. I do not want any part of that, especially if you're drafting him to be your wide receiver 2. Bench him for another wide receiver. Darnell Mooney is available in a lot of leagues, and I think he can replicate, if not score more than him if you're in a pinch. And for my sleeper, I don't know if he's a sleeper on this podcast. I've been ringing his bell for the past month and a half. Give me Marvin Mims, baby.
Marvin Mims.
Give me my guy, Marvin Mims. Starting wide receiver 2 in this Denver offense. Russell Wilson, no longer kissing babies and starting to kiss
Russell
dots. Russell Inc. is dead. Russ's kitchen is open. Give me Marvin Mims. Give me a deep catch. Give me a 50-yard receiving touchdown. I want all of it. I think that's going to happen this game.
All right, Marvin Mims to the moon. All right, starts. I have number 1, Jahan Dotson. Give me
right.
Give me Jahan Dotson all day. If Terry McLaurin, especially if Terry McLaurin doesn't play, Jahan Dotson versus Arizona.
Right.
Ooh, I'm I'm licking my fingers with that one. Second, Geno Smith.
Yep.
Geno Smith, is a guy who's going, like past the round 10 mark. So he's not an obvious start, compared to some of the quarterbacks out there. But Geno Smith versus the Rams defense. The Rams defense just keeps getting weaker and weaker and younger, just inexperienced. I think Geno and those receivers tear him up. Jamal Williams, going to be the starter for the first 3 weeks without Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller. He's nagging an injury, I think an ankle injury as well. So, I mean, his projection right now on Sleeper is a little low. It's under 10, but I think that gets boosted up by the time game time starts. So, Jamal Williams last year, touchdown leading leader. When he was in the game and DeAndre Swift wasn't, he was pretty solid. So, give me Jamal Williams as a start, especially if you need a running back. And then I have all Lions running backs. Again, Chiefs without Chris Jones, their defense is going to get galvanized, I believe. And so I think Gibbs and Montgomery are going to facilitate that offense, and I think that they are going to give them hell. Again, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are both – if you have one or the other, you should be starting them either in their running back spots or your flex. Sits. My first sit, Gabriel Davis.
I'm sitting him in the league that I have him right now.
Yeah, I'm not feeling confident. Again, I just need to see, if this is a new look Gabe Davis, then by all means, in a couple weeks, my opinion will change on him.
This is a perfect hold on Gabe Davis. Like, he's not I wouldn't sell him right away. I'm not going to start him this week. This is a perfect hold for him.
Yeah, so Gabe Davis right now, I'm just, against that Jets defense. I saw him against the Jets last year in, the Meadowlands. He got locked up. He was dropping passes left and right. It's just, I don't want to base it solely off that game, but his whole season last year, we talked about it a lot on the show. It was underwhelming as the Bills wide receiver number 2. Give me Gabe Davis as a sit. Also, a bunch of other sits. Jordan Addison, do not start him. Please
another
do
one.
not
Just
start him.
Hold on him. Hold your horses. Let's see him in some real NFL action first. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and, a couple of these rookies have, like Bijan Robinson is now RB1. He is still a backup, technically, on the Vikings depth chart. I want to, point that out. He's still behind KJ Osborne. So right now, hold on Jordan Addison. I think by midseason, he'll be a good flex play to wide receiver 2 to 3 range. But right now, hold on Jordan Addison. Sit him for right now. I know in some leagues, I see people starting him in a flex. Just don't. Breece Hall, I'm going to say is a sit right now. He's still nagging that. I don't think he's, they say he's 100%. I don't think he truly is right now. I think another guy after a couple games will fully start to, get back in his own. Coming off of ACL, it's hard. And then now you have Dalvin Cook. So it's just a little tough. I would bench Breece Hall until we see how they use both of these running backs. And then I have sit Danny Dimes.
Fair.
Danny Dimes against Dallas. That Dallas defense, is tough.
Forced to be reckoned with.
It's tough. So I think they need to, reestablish an identity. If they can reestablish the identity of last year, where they're a ground and pound team, and you can get a guy like Isaiah Hodgins going, or like a Wan'Dale Robinson. Just right now, I'm not feeling the greatest about him. Like, if you have the option between Geno and Daniel, I'm going Geno.
Yep.
Sleepers, Jonathan Mingo.
That's a great pick.
Jonathan Mingo might be wide receiver 1 this weekend.
He's starting a real good connection with Bryce Young early.
Yeah, and so that chemistry, rookie to rookie.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. And then Adam Thielen is nursing an injury, and DJ Chark is also nursing an injury. So we might see Jonathan Mingo be wide receiver number 1. And they're facing Atlanta. They've bolstered up the defense a little bit, but I'm giving this a little bit of a nod if you need a flex play.
You know what? Molly has been ringing the bell of Jonathan Mingo as much as I've been ringing the bell of Marvin Mims. A lot of our conversations, especially as of recent, have been about fantasy football. Mm-hmm. And so she is ringing the bell on Jonathan Mingo. And I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I completely agree. Jonathan Mingo might be a good flex play here as a sleeper. I have Jerick McKinnon.
That's
as
a great
sleeper.
pick too.
Without Travis Kelce, without real, identity with these receiving core, we might see Sky Moore. We really don't know what Patrick Mahomes has up his sleeve. So he's going to be spreading the ball out all over the place. I think Jerry McKinnon in a PPR setting, if you need him in a flex or as an RB2 to plug in real quick, until Kelce comes back, or even for the season, give me Jerry McKinnon as a sleeper. Raheem Mostert is another sleeper I have, a guy who's going like round 13, 14. Yeah. Jeff Wilson will not be there. Devin Akane he's still hurt. I don't know if he's playing or not. But Raheem Mostert, until he starts getting hurt, use him while you can. And then my last sleeper, real quick, Jordan Love. And this is only if the receivers are playing. So Watson and Dobbs, if they're playing, I know they're both nursing hammy injuries. I like Jordan Love in this Week 1 matchup against Chicago. Mm-hmm. Chicago's defense still needs some love, and I think Jordan Love can give them the.
I love that pick.
I love that pick. So if Watson and Dobbs play, give me Jordan Love as a sleeper. In your dynasty league, I actually have as my quarterback flex, I'm flipping between Love and Danny Dimes, and right now I got Jordan Love in there.
That's a good move.
So,
I agree with that.
Yeah, start as your sleeper. Sorry, I went a little overboard. I mean, I just
Hey, it's Christmas Eve.
I'm excited. I'm so
football
excited.
Eve. We're here.
So excited right now. I just love this time of the year. And yeah, that's all we have for episode 60. Do you have anything to add before we
That's
shut
all I
off?
got. Thank you again to the Tip Balls podcast, Mike especially, for coming on, talking with us. We're really looking forward to a future collaboration again. Maybe in season, we'll come back and touch back mid-season about what the Lions and what they've been up to at that point in time. Once again, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tip Balls. Hopefully, collaboration in the future. I don't think I mentioned this last week. I might have, but I was on the Virtuoso podcast this past week, so please give them a view in
Give
your
them a
spare time.
warm welcome to Emerge as well. They're sitting here in the same studio as us. You can catch them tomorrow. Do they go live?
Thursdays at noon, I believe.
They go live?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. A little on your lunch break at work or whatever. If you need a drive, if you're going somewhere on your hour-long lunch, if you have one of those things, go ahead and tune into the Virtuosos.
Yeah. I talked a little bit about football, talked about Blue Beetle. I don't know if anybody has seen that yet, and then Swap Kings as well, the documentary about the 2000s Florida, football team. So, this is episode 60. I just want to say thank you to the Tip Balls podcast for coming on. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Maranto and Emerge. Thank you, Matt Johnson and BICBP Radio Network. Next week we have Kesey LaFleur. Another one of this isn't the first time we had a musical personality, a rapper on the set. We had Don Brown, so this is the second time around, and we're really excited to kind of branch off and add another element to this podcast. So can't wait to see you guys next week for episode 61.
This is the last Big Yak podcast episode without a true football game. How about that?
That is true. Welcome to the 2023 NFL season. We are live, and please use our code Big Yak with Underdog Fantasy, and tell us if you want on our FanDuel parlays. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.